But for the tape, I'm being tortured very badly. It's all. I'm being shown Pauline Margaret, and the oppressive, negative presence is overwhelming. I'm being threatened. I'm being told that I will go in a refuge, etc., etc. My point is that this is coming to an end. I'm being extraordinarily tortured, and this is sort of the work of MI5 or MI6 to unearth exactly what's gone on, and not a refuge or a local government agency. I'm being tortured. I'm being very badly tortured, and I'm very fed up of the level of abuse that I'm receiving. I was reflecting on the fact that I'm finding my mother particularly difficult, and I want to differentiate it from any other scenario where in my mother, I'm an only child, and she's being very nasty to me, yet reminiscent of when I was a teenager. Yet in the meantime, there were many years when we were good friends, and anyway, she has always been most close to me. But whilst I'm saying this, I'm being blown at, told I'm with you by Hannah Buss's persona, and told the words thank you. But I don't know how to cope with it, and I think it's just a I don't know what you call it. Thank you, thank you. The atmosphere that's been created is so oppressive. I haven't got the accurate words to describe how horrendous. I mean, and it's just mad. It's horrendous. I feel like a grave threat. Like I said, I've been told to go to refuge. I was even told to go to Hanwell, but I wouldn't. And this is something that comes out of Margaret. She has gone on about Hanwell ever since I think I went to Ealing. I think it was her preferred place in the area. Yet I came from inner London. Specifically, I've been told I came from inner London to meet Hisham, basically, because the other relationship had gone wrong. Not because primarily I found Ealing as an lone person, somewhere I wanted to live in hardship. This was no need to be in hardship. I don't even like the terminology because it's been used through the voodoo and isn't and has all sorts of different associations. Yeah, my mother comes from Ealing. I was born in Ealing. I'm being told I'm with you. I wouldn't go to Hanwell if it's somewhere that people from Ealing end up when they're, my grandmother never went to Hanwell, for instance. It's something that my mother thinks of. I don't know really why. I wouldn't go there because I don't come from Ealing. If I was Francesca Rich, I might go to Ealing. And my heart is breaking. This Hanwell place. But my heart is breaking. I mean, because I lived in Ladbroke Grove for a decade. And then I lived in Kings Road for a very short period of time, which would have been instead of Ealing, and I'd lived in my own home in Neasden, and I'm being through Hannah Bruce's persona. And so unless I had a 5-bedroom, or rather, like a home of choice in this Hanwell area, because it's a cheap out of London, it's not out of London, but it's cheaper. It's all relativity. It's not cheap, but it's nothing that I would go back to Neasden. And it would have been the only sensible thing to have done, monetarily wise, and in terms of it would, and in terms of where I would feel most familiar and unharmed. I would look in Hanwell. It's actually a place where families live, like families with women about 27 years old up to you with a 37-year-old husband and 2 children, and then they do typically that really is a people who live in Hanwell. I'm getting really upset because I would never go to this Hanwell place. I don't come from Ealing. I was quite happily living in London before. I only went out to Ealing because I had an upset in a relationship. I was offered my specific flat, and I'm being told I'm with you. And my mother was in Middlesex, and I wanted to be near her because she was getting old. I, having achieved a house on the King's Road would never opt to live renting in an area like Hanwell with no reason for being there special. I'd go somewhere where I was familiar and felt at home. I wouldn't. But Margaret is the one who likes this idea.